This time around being joined by Martin Agumbi, who's the Director General Kenya Roads Board, mtu wangu wa power masla ya barabara. Tunaelekea msimu wa Christmas, and you know what normally happens, a lot of road issues, road incidents na vitu kama hizo. But before we go there, kuna siku most government projects, especially when it comes to road building and maintenance, ilikuwa zimehit a snag. The reason is because we had lots of unpaid dues to those who are contractors. That's why the Kenya Roads securitization program, Yaman, was introduced. And unaweza kashangaa hii ni nini securitization? It is a financial strategy mali government inatumia future revenue from the road maintenance levy, mtu wangu wa power, na inaitumia kama security ama collateral ya raise immediate funds for road construction and maintenance. And we had a target of about 175 billion, mtu wangu wa power, that ilikuwa inakuwa raised to clear contractor debts and restart stalled projects by issuing a securitized bond backed by this particular levy, mtu wangu wa power. And joining us in studio now is the Director General kutupeleka na hiyo rada. Welcome, Bwana Martin.
Nice to be here.
Asante sana. So far, how are we doing when it comes to actually ensuring that pending bills have been paid, contractors' debts have been taken care of, and people who mobilized initially are now back on ground to make sure that construction is happening?
Thank you, Patrick. The road sector in Kenya has historically faced the challenge of pending bills. And these pending bills were accumulated at the road agencies, that is Kena, Kera, and Kura. And they were mainly as a result of inadequate funding from the National Treasury. You find that, for example, Kenya has been allocated an amount of 40 billion to develop roads in a particular financial year. And they go ahead to procure works for that 40 billion. But by the end of the financial year, due to budget shortfalls or other financial challenges at this treasury, they only receive a portion of the 40 billion. Mm-hmm. So the shortage of money that they incur at the end of the year becomes spending bills, because, you know, they committed works for 40 billion, but they only received about 30 billion. So that shortage of 10 billion becomes a pending bill. Now, what the government did in February of 2025 was to address this issue of pending bills. In July 2024, the road maintenance levy was increased from 18 shillings to 25 shillings. This increase of 7 shillings is the one that the government applied to raise money through securitization in order to pay the pending bills. So the government approached the East and Southern African Trade and Development Bank, which is a multilateral financial institution that is an expert in raising these monies on how to get money to pay contractors. So this East Africa Trade and Development Bank is the one that came up with the idea of securitization. Yeah. So what happened is they proposed that we use the 7 shillings as collateral to raise the money that we needed to pay. We needed to pay up to 175 billion. This was the total portfolio of pending bills at the road agencies as at 31st of December 2024. Now, how could we pay this? This 7 shillings fuel levy is able to raise up to 30 billion annually. But we needed to pay total pending bills of 175 billion. So if we were to just collect the 7 shillings over the next, say, financial years, we'd collect 30 billion per year. 30 billion per year is not enough to pay the 175. We needed to pay the 175 billion. So what we did is, based on the advice of the East and Southern African Trade and Development Bank, the government securitized. We sold 7 shillings to a private entity in exchange for 175 billion today. Mm-hmm. So to date, the government has received 110 billion under this securitization program. This 110 billion has been applied to pay contractors. Before payment of each contractor, there were settled agreements that needed to be signed by each contractor committing to return to work when he is paid 40% of his pending bill. So in April 2025, all contractors were paid a minimum of 40% of their pending bills. And contractors that were owed 50 million shillings or less, these were about 500 contractors, were fully paid. So that is where we stand in terms of contractors. They've resumed work based on the payment of a minimum of 40%, and you can see all over the country that roadworks are going on.
Yeah, and we know that we had just about 600 stalled road projects across the country. Yeah, it was slightly under that number. And the aim of this particular program was to make sure these projects are restarted. Have we been able to actually see whether all those pending bills after they were cleared according to the arrangement that these stalled projects have been restarted, and which are some of the highlight projects that you know that are currently going on as a result of this particular project?
Yes, indeed. As I've just stated, each contractor was required to sign a settlement agreement which stipulated that once he receives 40% of his pending bill, he would resume work. So we would monitor each and every contract. If a contractor is paid, receives payment of the 40%, we monitor to check that the contractor has mobilized and returned to work. So all the contractors that received this 40% payment resumed work. You will notice all over the country, wherever you come from, whether you're in Mombasa, whether you're in Kisumu, or whether you're in Northeastern, the stalled road projects as at December 2024 have resumed. They resumed from April onwards. And some of the key projects that, for example, I would like to mention is in Mombasa, we have the Kwajomvu Bridge, which had stalled for more than 7 years. And
7?
Yeah, 7 years. There was no work. If you drove to Mombasa, when you're approaching Mombasa, you would notice a serious traffic jam as you approach Mombasa town. This was because of the delay in completion of the Kwajomvu Bridge. This bridge has now been completed, and traffic is flowing smoothly into Mombasa.
Apart from Mombasa?
Here in Nairobi, in town, there's a Kenyatta Avenue roundabout, where you will notice that there's construction work going on.
Near Serena?
Yes, near Serena there.
What's happening there? What's that you guys are building near Serena?
We are building a viaduct. This is basically a road that will go underground, so that when you're coming from town, going up towards Serena, you'll be able to travel smoothly without stopping at traffic lights. Yes, so it will ease the flow of traffic.
What about Ngong Road?
On Ngong Road, if you at the Junction Mall, you will also notice that the road has been fenced. So what we're doing is we're building another viaduct, and in this instance, I think this was even on TV about 2 weeks ago, where you saw that the contractor was had stated that he's actually going to finish the project 6 months earlier than estimated. So again, at the junction roundabout, traffic jams will be an issue of the past.
What about Gitaru? Also, their constructions are happening.
Yes, there's construction happening in Gitaru, and again, here you can tell from the people on the ground, the farmers there. I think I've seen some interviews on TV where they're very happy that they can now access markets based on the construction projects that are going on the roads.
The levy is being paid by Kenyans as a way of taxation, right? And should Kenyans expect cheaper fuel, or will this something be sustained over a given period of time, and what does that mean to them?
In July 2024, the government increased this tax from 18 shillings to 25 shillings. So there was an increase of 7 shillings. This has an impact on the price of fuel, because the higher the tax you impose on fuel, the higher the pump price. Yes. So what happened is that this 7 shillings that was the 7 shilling increase is the one that is being applied by the government to secure money today. So there's not going to be any additional increase on the price of fuel. The 7 shillings that was increased, this was done in July 2024, and there is no plan at all to increase the levy in order to increase pump prices. So Kenyans are not going to pay any more money going forward. Okay,
and we know most government projects have been affected or negatively impacted by what we call a lack of transparency when it comes to handling of such kind of funds. There have been concerns raised about the transparency and governance surrounding the securitization process and its potential impact on public debt management. What's your take on that?
This is probably the most transparent transaction that the government has ever entered into.
Yeah.
As I said, we engaged a transaction advisor to arrange for this securitization program. Part of the conditions of this program was, number one, we had to provide a list of these pending bills of 175 billion. They had to be verified. We had the Committee on Verification of Pending Bills that verified these pending bills, and they were found to be bona fide. Now, subsequently, we are not choosing which contractor to pay and which contractor not to pay.
Yeah.
It's a blanket payment of all contractors. The settlement agreements stipulated that all, not a few, we are not selecting contractors, all contractors were receiving 40% of their certified pending bills. So this is a level of transparency. Secondly, the people who are investing money on this securitization program require reports on how this money is being applied.
Yeah.
So we provide regular reports to the lenders in what we call a data room, where they can see, for example, we have received the Kenya Rosebud received 30 billion.
Yeah.
How was this 30 billion applied? We update this information in the data room, and it is public information where you can see that this is how the money has been applied.
What about future road maintenance? Because this program actually targets pending bills which have been accrued over the last couple of years. But going forward, what does your board intend to do to ensure we don't land in such a situation again?
Yes, as I mentioned earlier, the source, the reason why we had these pending bills was because we committed to do projects, but we do not have funding to pay for these projects.
Yeah.
But going forward, the government is consciously implementing a policy where new road projects will only be entered into if funding has already been secured for those projects. So projects will not be started where funding is not available. And on the future of road maintenance, we still have, the road maintenance levy is 25 shillings per litre of petrol and diesel. 7 shillings has been securitized, leaving 18 shillings as a balance of funds available for road maintenance.
Yeah.
So we still have money for road maintenance, which is coming from the 18 shillings road maintenance levy.
Okay, there is an audience here who's asking, now that you are all hands on deck on these road projects, will some of these roads be paid for? I think he's talking about tolling of these roads.
Tolling is a policy that the government is currently exploring, and where tolling will be carried out is, for example, in the Road Summit, that is being the project that was launched last Friday.
Yeah.
Tolling will only be done where there are options of where you can how you can access point A to point B. So tolling, just like on the expressway, you have an option of using the lower road, or if you want to move faster, then you use the expressway, which is tolled. So yes, tolling will be done, but it will be selectively, and it will be on roads where such policy can be viably applied.
Okay, and why did we have to subject ourselves to yet another form of debt? Yet we know the National Treasury is there to help when it comes to actually allocating budgetary funds to an institution like yours.
Yes, we need to clarify that this is not a debt. Kenya Rosebud has not borrowed any money. The government of Kenya is not borrowing any money in terms of this securitization. What happened is we have at our disposal future collections of the 7 shillings. This 7 shillings is the one that we are using to secure money today. Basically, if we do not secure the money, we would collect the 7 shillings, which is the equivalent of 30 billion per year over the next X number of years. But what we have done is we have approached a private entity and said, look, we have this portfolio, we have this receivables of 7 shillings over X period of time. We want to sell it to you. We want to give you the 7 shillings over the next 10 years.
Yeah.
What can you give us today in exchange of this 7 shillings? This is where we're getting the 175 billion. So the government is not going out to borrow any money. What we're doing is we're using future collections to get money today.
Yeah.
Yes.
And eventually, are we targeting at ensuring that we reduce road carnage? Because we know that poor state of Kenya roads have equally contributed to the number of road accidents and incidents that we've witnessed over the years. And also, as we approach the festive season, what's your message to road users in general as we wind up?
Yes, the road agencies have taken this matter seriously on road carnage, and they've already identified hotspots all over the country, and they're taking measures to ensure that safety measures are put, warning signs are put, and we also advise Kenyans, please drive slowly, observe traffic rules, and yes, you will get there safe as long as you observe the traffic rules.
Thank you very much indeed, Mr. Martin.